The Torah starts off this week's Parsha, Shlach l'cha anoshim. The Kliyaka brings out that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was telling Moshe Rabbeinu, that God was telling Moshe, why did they mess up? Why did these spies not do what they were supposed to do? Is because Shlach l'cha anoshim, you sent men. If it was up to me, I would have sent women. Because when people are going into Israel, when they're going into the land of Eretz Yisrael, and you can look at it one way to the positive and one way to the negative, women are much better off to look at things in the positive manner. In the bigger picture of things, in the macro vision, women would be able to look at Ayin Toiv, would be able to look in a more positive way. And because you didn't pick those, instead you took a group of men, that's why you dealt with the struggles that you had to deal with all these spies, the Meraglim, saying such terrible things and slander about the Holy Land of Israel, of Eretz Yisrael. And the question is, when we go through ourselves, we take a lesson from this. It's easy to just say, be positive, be like what Hashem wanted the people to send, look for the good, Re'ei b'tuv Yerushalayim, see only the positive, see only the good in people, the good in Eretz Yisrael, the good in everything HaKadosh Baruch Hu does. And don't be the negative. Don't be tzarayin. But I just want to bring out one nakuda, one point. And I think through this point, if we can understand the balance, as difficult as it might be, it would give us chizuk and a strength of how we can inculcate this into our own lives. Many people, when they went through the Holocaust, so they might have been shomer Torah mitzvahs, they might have been able to perform and keep all of the commandments and keep the Torah before the war. But after going through the horrors of a Gehenna on this earth, they weren't able to retain that faith, and they lost it. And of course, no one can judge and no one can blame. But after the war, they weren't able to remain as Torah true Jews, and they struggled. But there was one individual, of course many, but there was one individual who spoke up for himself, and he said, I was the opposite. I was not shomer Torah mitzvahs beforehand. I was not a religious Jew before Nazis walked in, before the Holocaust. And after the Holocaust, I walked out a religious one. Someone who was able to be medactic, who was extremely strict on his observance and is relating to God. What happened, he said? He said, over the course of the few years, obviously, I had a lot of time to think. And he said, I realized, he said, if someone is in a school, he's in a shul, and his kids are playing outside, and he goes outside to check on them, and he sees his child doing something that's pretty dangerous out there. He's going to run over to him, and he's going to give him either a little patch, a little slap, or he's going to tell him off in a certain, obviously in a constructive manner. He says, what are you doing? And you shake him up a little bit, so you realize that he'll never do this again. But he didn't do that to anybody else. He only did it to his own son. He said, I realize I'm looking around at the world out there. Why did Hashem pick on us Jews? Why did he talk to us? Why is he giving us this Gehenna? He says, because he's obviously shaking us up, because we are his children. We are his children, special children, which you can't necessarily say on the same level for anybody else. Because that gave me that strength, that it gave me that ability, that if God personally cares about me, it might sometimes be a difficult caring, but he cares about me personally, I'm going to connect further to that. And that's how after the Holocaust, I was able to do what so many others were not, and I related closer, and I got closer to Hashem, closer to God, more than so many others who did not. If we look into our lives, we're supposed to be b'simcha. We're supposed to be full of happiness. And sometimes that's so difficult on a superficial level. We can't just be happy when we're thrown out, we're stressed, with tension, things going on in our lives, in the world at large. How do we bring that? But if we look at the positive, if we look at the fact which we're all intellectually aware of, that there's a God and he cares and he's guiding us. He's sending us this way, he's sending us that way, all to build us, to get us some more deeper connection with him. If we just realize that, we take a little bit of a step back, we think about it for a moment, we'll realize that it's all Hashem and the loving Hashem that's doing it for us. Is that any more greater reason to be b'simcha? Is that not a greater way to be happy to know that my Hashem, my Father, is teaching us, is guiding us, cares about us so that we can become better people? When he goes out of shul at Hashem and looks to which child is misbehaving sometimes, and it's a little bit difficult, it's uncomfortable for us. But we know one thing, that it's our God and we're His children. So if we want to be positive people, if we want to be people like Shlach Lecha, the way Hashem would have wanted, people that looked to the positive in Eretz Yisrael and not like the Meraglim that Moshe Rabbeinu sent, who looked for the negative and spoke slander about Eretz Yisrael, we have to be b'simcha. We have to look at the positive because we realize that if Hashem's sending us the message, it is positive. It is the best. It's because He loves us, because we're His special children. Have a wonderful Shabbos.